Hello, everybody. This is the Yorick Frijters Show, and today we have Martijn. This is a podcast about health in general, and many were wondering why I invited an MMA coach, MMA fighter, entrepreneur to this podcast. But to me, MMA and entrepreneurship are the perfect metaphor to life. You get literally punched in the face when you don't have your shit together. Martijn de Jong is called Martijn, the Specialist de Jong. He is experienced in judo, Dutch kickboxing, judo, wrestling, submission fighting, a sport I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly, Kyokushin Karate, has a black belt in it, and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt at the age of 17. Martijn, welcome to the show, and I would like you to introduce yourself.
Hi, Yorick. Thanks for introducing already myself a little bit, but that's more or less it. I've been obsessed with sports since I was very young. I started when I was, I guess, even like 4 or 5 years old, and I started doing swimming 3 times a week. I really liked swimming. From there, I went to when I was, I'm not sure, I think it was 8 or 9 years old. I started doing BMX. That's something that was something I really liked because it was very popular at the time. And after that, I started with martial arts when I was 13 years old. I'm 48 years old right now. So that means I've been doing martial arts for 35 years right now. I started with jiu-jitsu, traditional jiu-jitsu, and that's where I got my black belt in when I was 17. Then I started doing Kyokushin Karate, got my black belt as well, started doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Eventually got my black belt a little bit later as well. And like you mentioned, I did all kinds of martial arts because back then you didn't have an MMA gym you could go to. Actually, the word MMA didn't even exist back then. So it was either free fight, mixed fight, just call it something, but it was not really like a sport. It was more a promotion where you fought together and they just gave it a name. So yeah, I started doing that for a while. I started to train different martial arts because I wanted to create a system which was completely all round. Back then you didn't have all round systems. So that's why I had to learn jiu-jitsu, judo, karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, Greco-Roman, freestyle, all that kind of stuff, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so that's why I traveled the world quite a lot. From there, I started to become a fighter. A mix of, before I was already into grappling competition, jiu-jitsu competition, like from the IJJF. There was like a semi-contact version. Became a Dutch champion in karate, was also semi-contact. And after that, I started fighting professionally. There was no amateur, of course, back then. It was just fighting in mixed martial arts rules back then. Different rules as well, different rule sets. I fought in Japan in 1997. And from there, I fought pretty much all over the world. But most of the time, I really liked the fights in Japan because of the respect, the different atmosphere, the whole environment was amazing. So from fighting, I started training people myself. I started managing people. I started organizing small events because my students wanted to fight as well. And there were not so many events back then. So I started organizing events that led to me creating a few world champions together with a team. One of them was Alistair Overeem. They all became multiple times world champions. From there, I started to organize events, the early Ultimate Glory / Glory shows in 2006. I started with that. 2012, we sold that company to the glory as it is today. I stayed a couple of years as a consultant there. Then I decided to go a different path. I went to Dubai, Abu Dhabi to set something up there. It didn't really work out. From there, I moved on to Indonesia. My roots are in Indonesia. Actually, my father was born there. So I wanted to visit the country. And then I found out that a lot of people were interested in martial arts, especially mixed martial arts, but the demand was high, but the supply was not as big and not as good. So I started to do stuff there. I had my own gym there. I trained personal trainers, what I'm still doing today. Beginning of May, I will be there again to teach a few trainers. Altogether, I think my team and we trained more than 1,400 personal trainers in that area, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia. And then I came back to Holland again because of some reasons. And I met someone who was very big in technology, one of the early ones, and we started talking. And eventually we founded a company called Fitar, which is a fitness technology company where I'm still active in today. So it's been quite some journey. It started with swimming, BMX, then martial arts. Still martial arts today. I still have one fighter in the UFC, Marchin, and I'm still working and the co-founder of a company called Fitar. Yeah. Sorry
What
for the
a,
long introduction.
no, lovely. It's an amazing story already. And what I first want to emphasize on is that you, on an early age, you thought about, I want to create a system. Is that something you naturally do in everything you do, or where did that come from?
Not sure if it was a systematic approach, but more like I wanted to be the best in all areas. There was one famous martial artist by the name of John Blooming. He recently passed away a few years ago. He was a master in so many different martial arts. And he back then already said, okay, now you are a world champion judo, but can you really fight? Like, yeah, what do you mean? I'm a world champion judo. Yeah, okay, but what if somebody punches you in the nose? What will happen then? And he was like, yeah. But now you're world champion in karate. But can you really fight? What do you mean? Can you really fight? Yeah, can you really fight? If somebody grabs you and throws you on the floor? Yeah, even for example, the baddest guy of all times, Mike Tyson. When you take him down, put him on the floor, what happens? So I started thinking about that, and it was a very interesting approach. And I was like, yes, we need to be like a master in all different areas of the fight game. So that's why I started to think, okay, how should I do that? So I need to go to the best, train with the best in wrestling, for example. One of my wrestling coaches was Andy Yekel. He was a 13 times world champion, Dutch champion in Greco-Roman wrestling. The other one was Dries van Leeuwen, who is, I don't know, also 12 or 13 or 14 times champion in freestyle, Dutch champion in freestyle wrestling. I went to train with Muay Thai legend Jan Lohmulder, who was also a 3 times world champion in Muay Thai. I wanted to train with the best and then put it all together because I had to, if I wanted to be the best in all-round fighting, as I mentioned, mixed martial arts, the name didn't even exist back then I needed to be skilled in all areas and then put it together. So make it your own system, because then it was like, okay, even I believe still, if you're a world champion in Muay Thai or kickboxing, a world champion in judo or wrestling, and a world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, doesn't mean you're a world champion in mixed martial arts, because it's different. The stance is different. In judo, the stance is different than in Muay Thai or in kickboxing. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is different if you have a gi on, than MMA, where you can also punch and you have no gi. So of course it helps you, but still you have to make some adjustments. And that's what I was looking for, to train with the best, get the best in all areas, and then put it together and make it like a system that would work in mixed martial arts. So yeah.
Interesting. And I think that's part of the winner mentality to gain the knowledge from. I mean, if somebody tells you such an approach and then you act upon it immediately,
yeah,
I think that says a lot about you. How was the culture back then? I mean, when I look at the UFC right now, like you said, MMA didn't exist back then. I find it so interesting to hear stories about, Sam Schild from you. So it feels like a really romantic story, but was it really back then?
Yeah, I believe there was some romance to it. I mean, like now it's more, if you ask a fighter so I got a fight for you. And then he's like, okay, he or she is like, okay, when? And who's the opponent? And where is it? And what are the rules? And how much do I get paid? Back then, when somebody offered you a fight, you would say yes. And then you're like, okay, where is it? How much do I get? It's all, yeah, it's a different approach. And also, like, I always wanted to train. I always wanted to get better, Nowadays, you see a lot. What I noticed, of course, back then you also had it. But yeah, if I don't have a fight, I'm not motivated. Yeah, okay, can you get me a fight, or can we do this or that? Like they need something to motivate for their own motivation, but there's no motivation coming from themselves. And that's what I always had. Like I was traveling throughout the whole of Holland, but also throughout the world. I went to Hawaii even to train there with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master, a student of Rickson Gracie. I went to Japan. When I was fighting in Japan, I could stay with at my friend's place and stay there for 3 weeks. And every morning, every evening, I start training with the different gyms, and just to become better. And I wanted to learn. I wanted to get better. I wanted to train because I liked it, And nowadays, you see, it's a little bit different approach. Not always, not for everyone, but for some of the young kids, I believe. Yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned Sam Schild. I'm not sure if you know, but back then there was, I think it's pretty much the first big management team and group of fighters coming out of Europe. It was the name was called Golden Glory. It started with Gilbert Yvel, and later Sam Schild came on board, Alistair Overeem, Valentine Overeem, Ilonka, Heath Herring, and myself. So that was the first group of people from Golden Glory, and then it started getting bigger. So that was kind of nice. And I look back to that as something that really formed myself as a person, but also the team spirit that our manager really enforced upon us. And together we could grow to big heights. And as some of you know, we had a lot of success in MMA, kickboxing, etc., etc. So it was a really good time.
Yeah, it was quite an era. And I think it was important for Dutch combat sports as well. Did you have a lot of mentors? I mean, you already named a few, but could you stress the importance of mentorship as well? If you had them, of course.
Yeah, mentorship is the most important thing in life. Not only in mixed martial arts, not only in business, it's in life in general. You need to find the best group of people around you. That's number one. Whatever you do, find the best people around you. Don't be shy. Just go out there and just nowadays it's so easy, Just go to Google and type in, you can find anyone you want, and just connect with them. Because, like the famous saying in America is like, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, and finally you will get a haircut, So
Exactly.
Find the people who are experts in their fields. I did that in martial arts. I did that in business. I did this in personal growth, just get those people together. Like find somebody who could teach you something, If you're the smartest in the room, what they say, you're in the wrong room. You need to go out there and find people and talk to them, because those people had mentors as well. And they love to give back. They love to put you on. But if you're around people who are doing nothing the whole day and then always talking negative, always see the dark side of things, just get the hell out of there as soon as you can.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's one reason why I started the podcast, because to create mentors for the listener and for myself, of course. It's not a completely unselfish act. But when you find such a mentor, typically they are more experienced, older than you are, right? Did you found them right away when you're looking for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for example, or when you started fighting on a professional level? How did you find those people?
It's a journey, of course. I started with Jiu-Jitsu, traditional Jiu-Jitsu. Then I thought, okay, my traditional Jiu-Jitsu, I'm a second degree black belt now by the age of, I think it was 18 or 19. I wanted to improve my striking skills because I thought my takedowns and my ground fighting was okay for that time, but I'm lacking my striking skills. So back then it was also kind of a convenience, my uncle, I call him my uncle, but he was the best friend of my uncle, and he was always around, when I was young, lived a few houses away from me. He was already a master in Kyokushin Karate. And I really wanted to go and train with him. But my father always said, okay, you have to finish something first before you can do something new. So you have to get your black belt in Jiu-Jitsu first before you move to something else. And I also believe that was a very good and strong lesson from my dad, because nowadays you see people going from left to right, especially in this era right now, when everything goes so fast. You see people moving from left to right and they have no focus. And eventually, if you don't have the focus and determination and dedication, then it also will end up nowhere. So he said, okay, finish what you started. So I started with Jiu-Jitsu, and then I found my karate teacher. And also there, I became black belt before I started doing something else. So from there, I was like, okay, there's a new system now with semi-contact Jiu-Jitsu competition from the IJJF, where we had striking, takedowns, and ground fighting as well. So I was like, okay, I want to do some of those competitions. I did one of these competitions, and then I thought, okay, I heard there's the Dutch national team was also training. So I asked if I could join, even though I was not in the team, and I was in Nieuwegein. I went there by myself and started training with those guys, and I could really give them a hard time, So I went there a couple times, and then I started fighting. Then there was also Remco Perdue back then. He was the heavyweight Dutch champion. He just fought in UFC number 2. And I did pretty well against him. And he asked me to come to Os and train with him. So I lived in Deventer. I went on my bike, 20 minutes drive to the station, in the train, 1 hour and 20 minutes. From there, walking to the gym, 20 minutes, train 1 or 2 hours, and then go back to Deventer again, do the same thing. Sometimes I came from Enschede, which is even further away, because I was doing my university over there. But that's something I did, It's easy to find mentors, and it's easy to find people, if you really want, who can guide you through the in the right way. But then you have to make sacrifices as well. You have to do stuff for it. You have to be, for like me, traveling for, what is it, almost 2 hours to get there and 2 hours to get back to train 2 hours. But you have to sacrifice. If you want to become the best, you have to do stuff like that. And sometimes people are like, no, I'm not I don't want to train there. It's 20 minutes drive, It's like, what? And even when I left that place, I found a lot of mentors in Japan. So after every fight I was there, I stayed longer. I started training with the best Japanese fighters. So my fighting style is also based more or less on the Japanese way of MMA, mixed martial arts. Very quickly, fast back then. I became the president of Shuto. Shuto is the first mixed martial arts, professional mixed martial arts organization in the world with a rule set, referees, etc., etc. So I went to Japan. I found a mentor in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in Hawaii. Okay, of course, it was a nice holiday for me, but I was there and training twice a day, It's easy to find mentors, but then again, how much effort are you willing to put in to go there every time and follow them consistently?
Yeah, I agree. And what I take out of your story is that you always been very active as well. I think that's one of the main reasons also that you met a lot of mentors almost organically.
Yeah.
Because you were active, you were being very proactive in what you wanted to achieve. But what I also hear in your story is, what I find interesting is that you encounter something you might not say not good at, but you could learn more, and that might not have been your best skill at that moment. So that requires self-reflection as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
You have to look beside your ego and decide, okay, I want to get better, so I have to look at the things I'm not really good at yet.
Yeah. Still now, after 35 years, there's still a lot I can improve. And the GSP said it very nicely. Every day we're trying to get perfect. We strive for perfection, although we know that we never reach perfection. So we strive for perfection, but we know we never reach it. But still, we strive for it. We go for it every day, And we find the best guys. For me, in mixed martial arts, I'm still doing some boxing training. I'm looking at some Brazilian Jiu Jitsu tapes. I'm looking at the mixed martial art fights, of course, and I'm analyzing it. I'm trying to improve my coaching style, my knowledge of techniques, of movement, even after 35 years. And in business as well, I now have this company, Fitar, and I'm trying to find the right people around me, the people who are smarter than me, who are more knowledgeable than me, and get those people around you so you can develop yourself, but your company as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that. And what I find interesting in that also, and that's why I always refer to combat sports in anything, is, well, like I said in the beginning, you have to take care of everything, otherwise you will get punched in the face. Yeah. But there's also, I only did MMA for like a year, so I'm not experienced at all. And I was very bad at it as well. But it was a good exercise. But the respect in MMA, in combat sports, is so huge. And of course, on the big stage, casuals, with all the respect, always look at MMA like, oh, they're punching each other, they're hating each other, they trash talk, they hurt each other. But I think respect in combat sports is one of the biggest aspects of it. Do you experience that as well?
Yeah, respect is number one. It's one of the things we live by. And you could see those crazy things on stage, people cursing, yelling, pushing each other. But that is just to sell the fight, because it's a commercial sport now as well. People want to make money. But in the end of the day, when the fight is over, you will always see them hug each other. They will always talk to each other with respect. And during a fight, you rarely see somebody doing something illegal on purpose. And if you look at soccer, for example, or any other sport, basketball, ice hockey. Now, ice hockey is hard as well. They don't cheat so much, but water polo or whatever, there's also there's a lot of cheating. In MMA, martial arts, rarely. So the harder the sport is, the more respect people have for the rules and for each other, I believe. Although it might seem different because people are, acting like they're acting. I don't like that, but they do that, and I understand it because they want to sell fights, they want to make money. I understand that, and it started a little bit with Conor McGregor, of course, But at the end of the day, there's a lot of respect, and especially for the people who are not. Well, also, there's a huge group of people who are not professional fighters, but they're training mixed martial arts or martial arts on a regular basis. That's the biggest group, of course. And there's a lot of respect there, because that's what we as trainers, teachers, senseis trying to give to our students / members. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the things I really appreciate about the sports, about the culture. It is more like a culture than sports almost.
Yeah. It's a way of living.
Exactly.
It's a way of living, and it shapes yourself. It shaped me as well. Respect, discipline, dedication, hard work, hierarchy as well. Yeah, all that. It's very and selflessness. Deal with losses. In every training, you either get punched in the face or taken down or put in an armbar, and there's a loss, and it does something with you. We don't like to lose as people, but we learn how to deal with it and become better people.
Exactly. And I think it builds character to be with certain people, to learn from more experienced people. You mentioned taking a loss. How did you manage losses?
I'm a very sore loser. I don't like to lose. Really don't like it. It really gets me crazy, But it pushes me to become better. And why did I lose? My mother, I was fighting once. I think it was my 6th fight. I broke my eye socket. I got a blowout fracture. I kept fighting for another, 6 minutes or something. But after the fight, I had a concussion. I had to go to the hospital. I had to get surgery, stay in the hospital for some time. It was a blowout fracture. I got punched here and popped here inside my head, and this was kind of a mess. But 3 days later, when I was home, I was watching with my friends. I was watching the video like this, like, okay, what happened? Where did it go wrong? And my mom was looking at me, is like, are you crazy? You're watching the fight again, where you got hurt so bad, you just got out of the hospital. Why are you looking at it? I said, yeah, I want to know what happened, how it can get better. Now I've been in the gym for like 35 years, closed gym. Now I found a sports. My uncle is a really good baseball player. He's been doing this his whole life, and he asked me to come and join one of the friends and family trainings, So I did that, and I now, since 2-3 years, I'm doing softball on a recreational base. But also there, I'm obsessed, I need to learn. I need to learn how the rules, how to throw correctly, how to hit correctly. And if I don't do well in the training, I don't know. It's people always laughing at me, I just very, very difficult for me to handle, because I'm always striving for perfection, and I always believe, I always believe deep inside myself I can do it. I really think I can do it, and nobody can tell me that I can't. I really have that strong belief in everything I do. I know I can do it. And it's like, yeah, no, I can do it 100%. And then if somebody else can do it, 100% sure I can do it as well. That's something in my brain, And also after training, for example, if we do batting training, but if I don't do well, by the end of the training, I ask the people, okay, please throw another 10 balls. I want to hit the ball, at least a couple of good hits in. I'll get the balls myself all the way in the back, but I need to get it in. Otherwise, it stays with me. So I have the mentality from, okay, I have losses. I do things wrong. It's hard to deal with me. It's hard to deal with for me. But yeah, I always try to learn from it. I always try to get better. That's something in my brain, and that's with everything. Even if it's with Duolingo, I'm now just practicing Spanish. Duolingo. If I don't do well, I get so crazy, and I really have to calm myself down and get better. Focus, get better, get stronger. Come on, you can do it, So that's something I have.
Interesting character trait.
Yeah.
Were you born with that kind of belief that you always and that you almost certainly know that you can do it and you will make it?
I don't know. I know back in the days, I was a little bit shy always, that I was. But also by practicing sports at a young age, with swimming, for example, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be ending first. And with BMX, I was always in the top 5 of the Netherlands with BMX. Yeah, I think I had it in me somewhere, or maybe because I started with sports at an early age. But I guess my dad is also very competitive. My uncle, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's in the genes, maybe it's not. But I think I when I started doing competitions in BMX, in swimming, and later martial arts, I always wanted to become first place and do everything for that. And of course, it didn't always work, but I was really striving, really putting all my effort into it. Yeah. I don't know if I was born with it, but I know that I believe that sports made it stronger. That belief, like I wanted to be number one. I believe I can. Yeah, I believe that through mixed martial arts, I got a higher self-esteem and self-confidence that I can do it, because I'm looking around. Why can they do it and why can't I? That's not something that I can. That's not something I can deal with. If somebody else can do it, I can do it. Why not? And people can tell me 100 times you can't do it, then it even gives me more motivation to show them I can. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that brought you the success it ultimately gave you. I agree, by the way, if somebody says something cannot be done or it's hard to achieve, and I'm like, that just sounds like a problem to solve, not something. It feels like people are hitting a wall, but I can just look at it and think, okay, that wall can be deconstructed as well, or it can be taken down by force if necessary.
Yeah, or you can jump over, or you can dig a hole, or you can walk around. There's like so many ways,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the drive has to be there first, right?
Yeah.
The drive and the belief that you want to go from A to B, even if there's a wall between.
I believe the mindset is most important. Okay, you can do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, what's the name of the cartoon character who said, "I never did it, so I believe I can"?
Pippi Langkous. Yes,
Pippi Langkous.
exactly. Classic.
Yeah.
I never did it, so I believe I can. Yeah, and exactly, why not? I mean, there are rare. I think it's a rare thing that things cannot be taken care of either by yourself or with the help of others. But when you say, "I always want to be the best," are there also? I can imagine there's a downside in that as well. Does it hold you back, or does it backfire you when you have that mentality at some points? I mean, there cannot only be upsides on having that mentality, I can imagine.
Yeah, but I'm not getting discouraged if I cannot be the best, because you cannot be the best, but the drive is still there. If I can't be the best, I'm looking at the people who are the best and try to copy them. Okay, what are they doing? Why are they the best? And then there's also a thing like, of course, I'm 48 now. I can't be playing in the MLB, for example, anymore. I cannot do that. I can't be fighting in the UFC anymore. You have to be realistic, but still, you can still push yourself to become a better person. And it's like, I understand what you're saying. So it's more like the GSP way, like strive for perfection, although we know we never reach perfection, but that's okay. It's okay. Just put everything you have in it, and for a certain period of time, consistency, dedication, and open mindset to be able to learn new things. And I think there's a way you can improve yourself, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's no really a downside. I mean, like, of course, I get sometimes annoyed, irritated if things don't work, but then I calm myself down, and then, okay, relax now, and we have to stay focused, relax, control yourself, and find other ways, or focus more and get better results. So
Okay, so at the end of the day, there's balance.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And when you perform at such a level, I can imagine you not only have to take care of yourself physically, but also mentally. I mean, did you have also dark times when performing on that kind of level? I mean, look at Kamaru Usman. He got knocked out by Leon Edwards, and they said, I believe it's Khabib, a man rarely recovers mentally from a knockout like that. How do you recover from knockouts? I mean, metaphorically speaking.
Like I said, I got a fracture in my eye. I looked at it, and I didn't look back with it. I didn't look back at it with emotion. I just looked at it like very data driven. Like, okay, what happened? What went wrong? How can it be? How can I fix it? Don't get emotionally too much involved. And that can be hard. But also, for example, when I stopped fighting, I think that was the hardest time for me. When I stopped fighting, and it was because of this fracture I had earlier, twice after that, I got a detached retina. So that was really okay, if that happens one more time, the doctor said, okay, if you get punched anywhere on your head because of the impact it has, you might lose your eye. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, is that worth it? I also had a little bit an injury on my knee and my lower back, but the eye thing, I was like, okay, if I'm going to lose my eye, that I don't want, So I decided to stop fighting, and that was a dark period for me. And the dark period lasted 1 week.
Yeah.
I was really kind of depressed, didn't want to go out of the bed. It's like, But then I was like, okay, now you got to man up, go out there, and there's other ways you can excel. And then I start focus on training. Of course, when you're a trainer and a coach and your student wins and becomes world champion, it gives you that adrenaline rush, but not as big as you were fighting yourself. So it's different, but still there's a goal, there's other things you can do. That really helped me. And I believe that eventually I became a better trainer than I was as a fighter, because as a fighter, I had to look here, look there, and then put everything together and had nobody to push me. I had to push myself, but it also built me as a character. Later as a trainer, I think I did pretty well. I made a few world champions, and I did my stuff throughout the years. So yeah, there's always something else. So in my case, after fighting, I could focus on training people, coaching people, managing, but also setting up glory or like the events. This is one thing. But after personal defeats, I was more like, okay, how can we fix it? And I never looked at it emotionally. I looked at it like very data driven. Okay, how can we fix it? How can it be better? How can we prevent it from happening again? And how can I grow as a fighter, as a person? Yeah, that's what I and sometimes okay, I have to work on my mental state. I was mentally not prepared for this fight. I was fighting not to lose, but I wasn't fighting to win, There's also a lot that's a difference. And you know it by yourself, and you need to work on it,
I can imagine, indeed. And when you said I have to man up, I think that's also a big thing in sport, in combat sports. I follow you on Instagram as well, of course, and so I know you have an opinion on stuff. How do you think manning up is handled in this day and age? Yeah. Do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
No, elaborate a little bit more, please.
Well, I think we share some opinions about how things are taken care of, about powers that be nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think that it would benefit if men, boys at younger age started doing combat sports at an earlier age. Do you agree on that?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very, very important for kids to do martial arts or any kind of sports for that matter, but martial arts especially, because it builds you as a character. Like I said, you have to deal with losses. Like there's a lot of spoiled kids right now, and if they don't get their way, they're getting annoyed. They started crying. They start to be like crybabies, but just man up, like be like, how can I say, like the respect, the hierarchy, the selflessness, the building of character, know your responsibilities, live by that, try to be good for others, help each other. Although martial arts is an individual sport, but still you're there as a team. If you just go into the gym just by yourself the whole day, you will never become a UFC world champion if you're there just by yourself, So it's a team effort. You have to help people so they will offer you their help as well. So it's that dynamic, which, yeah, it's like some there's like some very strong principles behind this martial arts. It gives you confidence. It gives you the character to deal with stuff. And
I agree. Yeah, and what I find interesting also is, I mean, I want to emphasize, I only did it one year, but I trained 4 times a week. So I think I got a taste of it. I would definitely want to. I trained at Vincent's at your place actually a couple of years ago one day. Okay. But in training, in sparring, I find it so interesting that you have to be so assertive that you can take a step back to see what your sparring partner is doing. But you also definitely have to pick your moments where you have to fight forward. And I think I love that so much, because you have to do that in fighting, but you have to do that in life. And yeah, I think I've emphasized why I love combat sports by now. But
Yeah. No, but that's a very strong point, like you say. Like even in sports, in fighting sports, you have to have like a big oversight, and that's what you have in business or in life as well. You have to see the big picture, and then sometimes you have to know, like you say, when to step back, when to move to the side, when to block, when to go in defense, and then find the right way, find the right moment and the opening to attack and to go in full offense. And if you go in offense, you just go full. You have to go with complete dedication and conviction. And that's also in life or in business. See see what's happening around you, know when to step back, and know when to go full force ahead. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, and the stress level that comes with it. Because, like you say, in business, when you make a mistake, okay, that can hurt sometimes, like financially most of the time, or you're not doing something the right way, and you have to work harder to make it up. But in martial arts, if you make the wrong move, yeah, like you say, you get punched in the face, or you can get taken down, face bashed in, armbar. So you have to be fully convicted when you move in, and go in with everything you have when you go on the offense, but then always at the same time look at different scenarios. That what I mean is, when you go in, there's also a few ways how people can react. So for example, if you go in with punches, people can either block, can move to the side, can try and take you down. There's a lot of things you have to think about, so you have to always be open for different scenarios. So what I mean is, if you go in full force, don't go in blindly. Just go in with conviction, but know that the landscape can always change in business and in life. And that's what you have to anticipate on. And I believe that is something I really learned from martial arts. I always give the example, in MMA, the basic is, you start standing up, you're trying to get some punches or kicks in, then you're taking somebody down, you're inside the guard. Okay, now I'm going to pass the guard. How can I pass the guard? I can go around it, I can go in between it. I can go to the left, I can go to the right. If I'm on the side, okay, I can control him. If he moves this way, I have this finishing technique. If I attack that way, he's going to defend this way, or this way, and he advances this way, I have this counter move. If it is this way, I have these 3 counter moves. So there's a lot of thinking, but still it's one flow. It's a perfect flow, and you're going in with full conviction. But it's flexible, it's always changing, but as long as you're in the flow, it's a perfect journey.
yeah, the flowing part, like Bruce Lee said, you have to be like water. You have to adapt to every new moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
That can be very philosophical, but very practical as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I definitely like that about the sports and in life, and that's why it translates so well, in my opinion. Going back to the start of your coaching career, how was it for you to make the transition from being the man in the spotlight to the man behind the scenes?
And the reason I started training is because I didn't have any sparring partners, teaching, because I didn't have any sparring partners to train with. And I wanted to, if you're teaching yourself, then you have to know the ins and outs of every technique you're teaching, because there's people sitting around you and asking, okay, why are you doing this? Okay, why is that? And then you need to give like a good answer. So because of teaching, I became more technical as well, because I had to know exactly how the technique worked, what the philosophy behind it was, and I have to be able to give them proper answers. So I started teaching at an early age when I was still fighting. And then when the fighters got better, my students got better, I was already a coach. I was managing them, I was coaching them as well, organizing events for them. So for me, it was an easy transition because it was already there. And I just moved. I was going in 2 or 3 ways, and then I just left one and went on with the other 2. The only thing I missed was the adrenaline, of course. That's what I kind of missed, Yeah, it's different. But then again, 1 week I was depressed. But after that, I was like, okay, man up. You got to let it go now. This is how it is. And me being depressed or sad doesn't change anything. Just go out there, do what you can do, and do it to the best of your ability. So for me, besides that 1 week, of course, you have sometimes you have regrets and you think about it. Okay, this was so much nicer. But then, yeah, it is how it is. It is how it is.
A very pragmatic way of looking at life, maybe even stoic.
Oh yeah. But that gives me that's why I don't have a lot of mental issues, maybe, because I don't stick with it. I just look at it in a pragmatic way. Okay, this is how it is. Okay, move on. Because otherwise there's a lot of people staying in their past,
Yeah.
And for them it's hard to escape. But yeah, that for me, I don't think it's an option, because it will only hold you back, I believe.
I can imagine. Well, it obviously gave you a lot of success, so I think it's a good formula. Yeah. What I find interesting in what you were just saying is that I didn't have the training partners, so I started training. But what I find interesting in that is, again, some sort of assertiveness that, okay, it's not here, I have to do it myself. So almost like a fighter on the front foot, Yeah. You're always in fight mode in a good way.
Yeah.
Is that something you recognize in yourself? Because it's something I hear in a lot of stories you have been telling already.
Yes, I believe I can relate to that. Yeah. If it's not there, you have to create it. Yeah, I don't believe in impossibilities. I believe in possibilities. And like we just discussed, if there's a wall, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a wall. Okay, what can I do? Should I stop now? No. I can jump over it. I can dig a hole under it. I can walk around it. I can take a plane and fly over it. There's like so many things I can do, Put it on fire, get a bulldozer, break it away. There's things we can do. So it's not the end if there's a wall. Yeah. And I believe that this is something that helped me a lot. Like thinking out of the box. And don't believe in impossibilities. Believe in possibilities.
Exactly. And
there's I have my own system called Tatsujin MMA, and Tatsujin. I have 3 core things. One is strength, one is focus, and the other one is positivity. And the strength is the mental strength you need to be competing in mixed martial arts, but also the physical strength, the mental strength and the physical strength. Both you need, Then there's focus. There's focus like in the moment, like I'm in a super focus mode, but there's also a focus, okay, where do I want to be and how do I get there, a long-term focus. And on the other side, there's positivity. Positivity for me is very important. I always say there's no positive results with a negative mindset. It's impossible. So if you keep thinking negative, no way on earth you will get a positive result. It's impossible. You cannot do it. The one who thinks you can do it and the one who thinks you can't do it, they're both right. If you think you can do it, you can do it. If you think you can do it, you can do it. So that's the whole mindset. And that's, for me, very important. So that's the philosophy: strength, focus, positivity. So if you see the logo, there's three arms, 3 legs. And one is also striking, ground takedowns, and ground fighting. So that's the whole mix. But I believe, like what we discussed, the positivity thing is really very, very, very real. Make people happy, be in a positive flow the whole day, believe you can do stuff, and have positive thoughts in order to achieve positive results.
That's a beautiful mindset, I believe. Are those 3 pillars that you just described, is that also a criteria when you look for fighters? I mean, do you look for fighters, or do the fighters approach you when you want to coach them?
I don't look for fighters anymore. Actually, I never did. I believe that a student can find a trainer, and when they come to me, I see how much they're dedicated, because there's a lot of people training with me. The ones who are giving me 100%, I give back 120%. If you're doing it just because you like it and you just want to work out a little bit, that's fine. I give you your share of attention. But the ones who are doing the extra steps, I guide them even more. I help them even more. But the motivation has to come from the inside. I'm not looking for fighters because I could do, there's a lot of people who came to me, can you manage me? Can I train with you? I was like, yeah, if you want to train with me, you know where I am. Just get over here and train with me. Yeah, you know how many messages and DMs I get every day, or every week at least. I want to train with you. I want to come and train. Yeah, okay, then come and train with me, this is my address. These are the training times. Just come over and train. But I don't want to go chasing people. I'm not looking for fighters. Okay, can you come please and train with me? Because 9 out of 10 times they're already training somewhere. They're probably happy, because if they're not happy, they're probably left. I'm not going to steal other people's fighters. That's not me. I don't like it. If people want to come and train with me, come and train with me. I like to build something from nothing to something with fighters, but also with businesses, with everything I do. I want to create something from out of nothing. If there's other fighters who wanted to come and train with me, I give them. I don't do strict contracts as well. If you don't want to train with me, you don't want to train with me. If you want to train with me. I'll give you something because I want to give you something and give you my knowledge and my time and my effort, not because I expect something in return. I did that before, and then some people left, and I got really disappointed. It really hurt me a lot. But now I just give something because I give something, and I don't expect anything in return. That makes me a happier person,
I can imagine. Yeah, it's something, of course, there's still a business behind it, but I can imagine the core, it has to be something organically, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine. So
maybe not the smartest thing, but that's how I roll. There's people with very strong contracts and they're making a lot of money, but for me, secondary.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that also contributes to how the relationship with the fighter is, but I can imagine that it is very specific the way you work.
Yeah.
Do you still? I mean, you have multiple gyms. Could you explain where are the? I've been at Deventer and I've been at Amsterdam Oost as well, at Raffles his place, where he trains. But you have more gyms, right?
Yeah. So they own the gyms themselves, but it's under the Tatsujin brand. So there's like a Deventer where it all started, where I'm still training myself every week. We have Amsterdam with Raffles, who is one of my first students and one of my best friends. Very qualified teacher, very beautiful gym as well. Then we have Tatsujin Claire is there. He's also one of the first guys, and he has a beautiful place with really nice guys and good fighters as well. And then we have Patrick Spape in Goor, which also has the Tatsujin brand. Beautiful gym, new build. Also a lot of kids. He likes to work with kids and give them a positive, to build also a positive touch, like build a character, like we just discussed. He's really into that and he's doing really well. Has some nice fighters as well. And back in the days, I had my gym in Indonesia, in Jakarta, but I just stopped with that right before COVID. So that was a good
timing.
Yeah. But it's those gyms currently running in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I can imagine. It's a hassle to have another gym at a whole different continent, right?
Yeah.
To manage
not around the corner. No.
Yeah, no, it's not. And when it comes to coaching in football, some coaches are criticized because they have a very specific system rather than they are adapting to the one they are training. What is your philosophy on that? Do you understand my question?
Yes, and I believe in soccer. I don't know about soccer training, but I believe that could be a little bit more difficult because they're dealing with 11 players on the field, and there's even more alpha men in the team. Mm-hmm. So it can be very difficult. And if that person wants to have a specific treatment, then the other also wants it, and then it becomes a mess. So I'm not sure. I'm not skilled at all in soccer training, and I don't know the dynamics, but I believe, that's different than mixed martial arts. In mixed martial arts, and I really believe in the personalized training. I learned that also from one of my first coaches, Jan Lomel, Muay Thai specialist and trainer. And he's coaching people to their ability. So make the strong points stronger and the weak points also a little bit stronger, but focus on the strong points. I do this up till today. So at different fighters, if you look at, for example, now look at my 3 world champions or now also Martin Prachnio. There's Alistair. Fights completely different than Marloes or Siyar Bahadurzada or now Marchin Prachnio. Completely different guys. Fight completely different. So, for example, now I have Marcin Prachnio. He's in the UFC. Won 3 out of his last 4. Beginning, he was struggling a little bit, but in one championship, he was undefeated as well. He's a pretty good fighter. But his basics is from Kyokushin Karate. So his kicks are really good, His strong kicks. He's a 2 times champion in Polish Kyokushinkai. Full contact. He is second place, the Europeans, best 16 in the world. He had like 450 Kyokushinkai fights or something when he was from a very early age. He's been training with me for 10 years now, but his kicks and his movements are different than somebody else. But his kicks are very strong. So, okay, we're focused on his kicks. but it doesn't mean he can wrestle. He can ground fight. He did the Dutch championship in grappling, and he also became first place. That was a while ago, but I of course, he needs to learn the whole package. But in a fight, we focus on his strong points. Last time he was fighting William Knight, and he got the record of number of low kicks in the UFC fight, 3-round fight. I think he gave the guys 63 low kicks.
Gee.
So yeah, and those low kicks are hard. The guy couldn't walk for a couple of weeks.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So I definitely believe in that. That's, for me, one of the most important things. Like, okay, this guy's Vincent Latour, for example, completely different fighter than Marchin, but he was very strong in guillotines. He got a lot of guillotine submissions, strong hands, kicks. Okay, not so much, So yeah, on the ground, some people I had. Marloes was very skilled in arm bars. Vincent was skilled in ground and pound. Martin is better in position. Alistair was good in guillotines. So everybody has his own thing, and we focus on where the fighter is good at. And of course, there's like a basic training. But once we go towards a specific fight and a specific opponent, you emphasize on the strong points of your fighter, of course. And during trainings and sparrings, of course, you also coach them on the strong points. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So personalized training for me, big yes.
I can imagine. And I think that's also very powerful because, of course, like you said, you have to know your less strong points, but the focus always lays on what you can do, what you're good at. And I think that's a very nice way to look at it, because that's more focused, more growth focused, when you focus on what you can do, what you're good at, and how can we move forward. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful approach. What is the biggest difference when you have fought yourself, you have trained Alistair Overeem, Marloes Coenen, you name it?
She trained with me a couple of times, and now my fighter Marchin, he trains with him. So we go with him to Musashi. I go with him to there, and we train together. Stefan Struve I never trained with, so he's also Bob Schreiber. But Bahadurzada, he's 3 times world champion in Shuto, and he was also a UFC fighter. I trained him from an early age, 15 when he was 15. Marloes when he was 15. Alistair since he was 17. So
wow.
And some of those guys. Yeah.
And what changed in your approach when you compare it to when you just started to this moment when you have obviously the most experience of your life right now? What is the difference in your approach?
Good question. Of course, you always grow. You learn from every fight, from every year of experience. Of course, I believe that I'm very strong in recognizing what works and doesn't work in a real fight. Nowadays, you see a lot of funny. I think they're funny techniques. Funny, especially in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, see a lot of rolling and moving and things that are not necessarily super effective, but looks good on camera. I think I'm.
For example, if you want to.
Yeah, you see those, double saltos, rolling, armbar, ankle locks. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of those stuff and a lot of moving, which looks really good. But then, if you look at it like with a data-driven perspective, where do people win fights on? If you look at the UFC, where do they win fights on? They win either by knockout, they win either by a choke, either a guillotine or a rear naked choke, or an armbar. Sometimes a leg lock, And from which positions? 9 out of 10 times from basic positions. Takedowns, secure position, go for submission, basic submission, not the nice rolling, circling, salto ones, So that there's a process. For example, it started with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, of course, and the UFC 1, Royce Gracie, who, by the way, opened my gym in Indonesia. He came to Indonesia and opened my gym. It was very cool. Very cool guy. It started with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, a lot of ground fighting. Then the wrestlers came in, the Dan Severance and those guys. They dominated. Then the strikers came in, like a Krokop, Wanderlei Silva, those guys. And of course, here in Holland, Alistair Overeem as well. But I don't think Alistair is just pure striker. He's good in striking, but his grappling is also really good. And he's been training with me. He was training with me for, I think, 13 years or something. And he became the European champion in ADCC. He submitted a lot of guys, and he has decent grappling skills. So I see him more as an all-round fighter. But you see there's evolution in mixed martial arts. It's not only, and you have to adapt to that. So not only me as a trainer, I believe, but I also had to recognize the way it was going, from ground fighting to wrestling to striking. From striking, all of a sudden, strength and conditioning became really important. Then everybody was high level strength conditioning. And nutrition became very important. So you had to find the right people there, because I'm not a nutrition specialist, but I know a nutrition specialist. So I have to bring the right fighters to the right place. Then nowadays you see a lot of getting up from the ground, you see the striking, end up on the ground and standing up. So that's a whole new level. So adjusting yourself to what is happening, and also at the same time see the evolution of the sport, but at the same time look at your fighter qualities and enforce that on the opponent he or she is fighting at that moment. So what that means is, I believe I can analyze fighting and fighters pretty well, and more, because I have more hours into it. If I analyze fighters before a fight, I can make a strong game plan, but not too focused. Because you hear a lot of people talking about game plan, especially a few years ago, was like a trending word. But then if something changed in a fight, it can be anything, then the whole game plan is out of the window. I'll give you one example. One of my fighters, Vincent Latour, has to fight a guy in Indonesia. They prepared on everything. How he was fighting, how he was moving, how his stance were. So I told Vincent, okay, let's fuck with his mind a little bit. We go to the middle of the cage. You stand with your left leg in front, orthodox stance. You shake his hand, go back to your cage. You start with your left foot in front, orthodox stance. And the moment he gets close, you switch to southpaw. Because I'm always training my guys orthodox and southpaw, both. He switched to southpaw, and the guy was really like, he's like blocked, And eventually Vincent won that fight in the first round very quickly. And later they admitted that they really had to change their game plan or their whole mental state, because he was standing with his right foot in front in the southpaw stance instead of orthodox stance. So in my training approach, I always give them the tools to handle every situation. But then again, I analyze the fighter, and I know certain traits or certain things he or she always does. And they're trying to find a weakness. I try to find a way how to go around it and use that to our advantage. So maybe that's the analyzing part is the one I really evolved in if you look at back then and now.
Yes. So, well, that's a very strong quality, I guess, because when I hear you say, what I hear you say is that, of course, you analyze, but you also stick to the basics, and those do not really change. Like you said, striking, ground game, and another one. I forgot. Yeah. If you stick to those basics and you still are able to adapt in the moment, it doesn't really matter which fighter you're encountering. I believe that's what Conor McGregor said. I'm not sure if you're a fan of McGregor. I was in the beginning. When I watched him fighting, he looked very fluid. Like it didn't really matter who he encountered or what he encountered. If the guy came punching or whatever, he was able to move his way around it, and that's what I appreciated about his fighting style back then.
yeah, sure.
What are your goals with Marchin?
Yeah, he's doing well. Hopefully he can fight before summer again. He still has the desire to become like a champion. I believe we can put him in the top 10 pretty soon. Like I said, he had a rough start, but he's mentally in a different place now. He's getting older, more mature. He knows how to canalize his aggressiveness. So yeah, he's doing very well. Do a lot of breathing exercises, the Wim Hof method combined with some Hickson Gracie kind of breathing and stuff. So it gives him a more calmness, relaxed approach during the fight. He's amazing physical shape. He's learning every day. He's getting better every day. So yeah, our goal is to get him in the top 10 first, and then hopefully in the future get a championship belt.
Sounds good. Yeah, I saw his record, and I saw indeed that he was accelerating in his results. The last few results were quite impressive. Of course, we have talked about fighting, about your own fighting career, your coaching career, but you're also an entrepreneur. When was the moment that you realized that you wanted to do more in business?
also that went pretty organically because I was working back in the days. That's funny. Like a week ago, last Friday, we had a reunion of the SNS Bank I used to work. So I was working at the SNS Bank. I was working at Unifaith. I was working at a marketing company. But then when I was 26 years, no, I think I started with organizing events because in 1999, I guess it was, or 1998. I already organized the first mixed martial arts event in the east of Holland, in Deventer, where we had free fight back then with open hand slaps, karate competition, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu competition, Thai competition. So it was a mixed event. I did it with my karate teacher, Pierre Drachman. Then I started doing smaller shows I think I started with the Shuto shows because Shuto, when I was fighting in Shuto in Japan, they asked me, don't you want to be a representative for us in the Netherlands? I said, yeah, sure. It's a big honor. I would love it, So I started doing small amateur shows. Later, I became the representative of Europe and we started doing events all over Europe. Scandinavia a lot, Belgium a lot, Germany a lot, Spain, Italy, the Baltic states, Poland. We're in different areas and then in Holland as well. And in the beginning in Glory, we had Shuto fights as well. So I was always doing those organizing of events really, triggered my entrepreneurship probably. In the beginning of Glory, we did nice deals with TV, with big sponsors. So that I kind of like that, I'm a free person. I don't like to be working from 9 to 5 in a company. That's not me, I'd rather build something for my own, even if that means I make less money doing it, because I want to be happy. I want to be free and build something from nothing to something. Yeah, I believe that kind of inspired me already to become an entrepreneur. That was already at a very early age when I was in mid-20s, and I started doing the Glory, and then I started doing the gym in Indonesia, and then I started, with the company called Fitar right now, the fit tech company, and with the last company, we took it to the next level because we have really strong team, and we're doing big deals worldwide. And also there, my network from martial arts helped me a lot. Easy for me to get access to retailers or access to potential partners, or because of my martial arts background. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you started with the events, the gyms, of course.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate more on the businesses you're in right now?
Yeah, so Fitar is a company that is motivating and stimulating people to work out. Not for professional fighters, not for the hardcore CrossFit guys, but for regular people who want to work. They know they have to work out and they want to work out, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult to drag yourself to the gym, etc., etc. So we have a home solution. It's called it's a smart box, a small box that you can connect to your TV. Let me see. I have one here. Here, this is the box. It's a small box with a 3D camera. Very small, as you can see. It's like a little bit bigger than my hand. You can either put it like this below your TV, or you can put it on top of your TV and lock it there. What we do is we have a 3D camera there that recognizes your movements, and there we developed in-house some games, some exercise games, how we like to call it, exercise games, where your body is the controller and you have to move through the game by exercising. So, for example, there's a game with monsters coming at you. You have to move from left to right. You have to do squats to kill the monsters. You have to jump or raise your knee to shoot bullets and kill the monsters. And there's a game where we have a shadowboxing game where somebody's saying, okay, jab, straight, left hook, right uppercut, left knee. So you have to react on what the person in the on the screen is saying, and this way, we believe that by gamifying exercise or gamifying the whole experience, people will come back faster and train longer. So this is our goal, to get as many people exercising and become healthy and more vital. So that's more or less the thing we are doing, and we're doing pretty well. We're selling in the Netherlands. Actually, this is just a new product. Before we had smart mirrors, big mirrors. But we just started with that, and then COVID hit. We had problems. Of course, we were targeting B2B, like hotels, corporates, and gyms. Now they were all closed, so there went our business model straight out the window. And then we said, okay, we should start thinking about something for the people at home. So we made smaller mirrors for people at home. Did quite well in that, but then still it's like a logistic hassle, to get those mirrors over to the people, do the installation, to store them. There's a lot of hassle. And then we came up with the idea of just creating a smart box, like I just showed, a small thing. You can just put it in a box, go to PostNL or FedEx or to whatever shipping company and just ship it out, and the next day you have it. It's a cheaper version as well. And in this way, we believe that we can really scale up and help people to become more fit and stimulate and motivate them to work out, at least work a little bit on their fitness in a nice way, in a gamified, fun way. We want to bring the element of fun back to fitness or working out.
It sounds like a very accessible way to work out.
Yeah.
And because I think that, of course, I had DVDs to work out at home before I went to the gym. It is nice to have a direct interaction with the workout I'm doing, and also the playfulness sounds very good.
Yeah, so we have those games, for example, those extra games, how I like to call it. But we're also working on gamified fitness videos. So like you said, you had the DVDs at home. Now you have YouTube. There's a lot of videos on YouTube, but we are putting our software layer on top of that, so we get some interaction. So for example, if you do this, if the personal trainer on the screen says, okay, Yorick, do some squats, let's do 10 squats, and you're doing the squats, then you see like you see how your squat is performing. So if you don't do it fully, the how do you call this? It doesn't fill up completely. Once you do the full squat, ploop, it hits, and boom, it starts counting. So, and then if you're standing in front of the mirror, if you put on YouTube on your TV or in your laptop, just standing in front of it, and you don't feel like doing the workout or doing the squats, you're like, okay, I just do 5, although he said 10. But now, when the trainer says 10 and you do it, you really see your squat performing the right way, and you see the counting, the counting on the screen. It gives you a little bit more motivation and a little bit more motivation to continue and to perform the correct exercise.
I can imagine. Yeah, the interaction seems very helpful, even when you're at home. And of course, it is very important to exercise, and people are very busy. So when you can do it at home, I can imagine that can work really well.
Yeah, so that's especially what you are saying right now. We see that after COVID, a lot of people didn't go back to work, to the office. A lot of people still at home. Let's say I see a lot of companies that are having their employees working at home 3 times a week, for example, twice at the office, 3 times a week, or sometimes even more at home. And they're behind the laptop all the time like this. So you have a lot of problems, high neck pain, low back pain. And then sometimes it's very good for them just to go out there, switch on the TV, switch on the smart box, do a 10-minute exercise, a fun exercise, a game, and they feel good again and ready to go. We saw that we did a research, and it showed that the sickness leave went through the roof in the last couple of years, almost doubled from 3-4% to 6-7%. And also the engagement in between the colleagues, it was less, because usually you used to see each other 5 times a week in the office. And now most of the time you're at home. So the engagement is gone between the colleagues. So with our solution, we have, like, for example, if you're working at a big company or a big corporate, we can create your own environment with your own look and feel, with your own logo. There's you can compete against your own colleagues. There's leaderboards. You can challenge each other. And this makes it more accessible and fun to work out. You can challenge each other with a game. You can challenge each other for a workout video. You have the interaction in all exercises. So we believe that through companies, we can also make a difference for the employer, because the sickness leave probably will be reduced, the engagement will increase between the colleagues. And so this is also one of the areas we're focusing on, B2B, and we call it B2B2C, because through the company we go to the end user, and we're also focusing on retailers. So we're doing quite some deals with retailers internationally in Indonesia, Hong Kong, Singapore, France, talking to Switzerland right now, Holland, of course. So Yeah,
sounds very good. The competitiveness and also keeping each other accountable when you're at work to stay in shape with your colleagues. Yeah, I can imagine that can work really good.
Yeah.
So when you're developing as an entrepreneur, how does your fighting style translate to your business?
Yeah, my fighting style or my way of approaching fighting was always dedication, never give up. Even if you get big struggle, big challenges ahead of you, don't give up. Find a way, be creative to jump over that wall or move around it, get that wall out of the way. I always want to win. That's in fighting, but in business as well. There's this they call it ABC, always be closing. I always want to be closing. I always want to be winning. I wanted to, okay, if we go somewhere and, for example, both parties want the same, okay, let's go, and then one way or the other, we're gonna be closing, we're going to be winning together. I believe that there's always fair play. Fair play for me, very important. Fair play, transparency, fair play. Yeah, there's some things my fighting style. Yeah, I like be out of the box. Find ways to even if there's like for example, we had COVID. We had a really nice mirror. We launched it in the Conservatorium Hotel in Amsterdam. Very nice mirror, smart mirror. We sold it to different companies like the Rich Hotel in France, for example, in Paris. But then COVID hit. So what are you going to do? You're going to sit at home and cry? Or what are we going to do? We're going to develop a new product, which we have to change the whole strategy. Like your game plan was this, but now, okay, COVID hit, everything closed. Okay, we move to home, and from home, okay, now we see there's some challenges there. Okay, why don't we make a takedown solution like the smart box, which make it more easier accessible and better for people and easier for people to purchase and scale up your business. So yeah, have your game plan, but also see the bigger picture and be flexible enough to move around, but with full conviction.
Sounds good. And what I also recognize again from your stories earlier on, fighting on the front foot. So always, the opposite of defensive.
Offensive. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The offense. Yeah.
Yeah. Offense is the best defense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So also this is like, it's a product that doesn't exist. Nowhere to be found in the world. We were one of the first with the smart mirrors. At the same time in America, there was also a company developing, and they were developing very fast. Got bought by Lululemon for $500 million. Very big company. Mirror, it was called Mirror, but they had a big investment group behind them. So they already had an investment of $76 million before they got purchased for $500 million. So America, of course, is the best region for fitness and technology. So they went very fast, but now we have something new. We have the smart box. We believe we can conquer the world. We're talking to American distributors as well. So yeah, I'm very bullish on this.
Sounds good. Before we wrap this up, I want some UFC talk, short. I believe it's UFC 287 coming up this weekend. Israel Adesanya versus Poatan. What do you think?
I think Pereira got his number, I'm not sure. I think Izzy is maybe the more complete fighter. Pereira is he's a strong guy. He's a strong dude. And he's tall, very good striking, and he already won, was it 2 or 3 times? 2 times, I think.
Yeah, two times in kickboxing, one time in UFC. Yeah.
So I just saw an Instagram video of another fighter who was on the card. He's like the Michael Myers, he's this boogeyman chasing him,
Yeah. His face so stoic. It's really scary.
It's like everywhere he goes, he's in kickboxing, he's there. He goes to MMA, he's there. This guy is chasing him, and he can't. I think he's really in his head. It depends. Maybe Izzy is the better fighter, but yeah, the other guy got his number, So I believe it's going to difficult fight, can go either way. But after 3 losses and the improvement, because this Alex Pereira, he's becoming better and better on the ground as well, And his takedown defense, his wrestling, and he's strong, He's such a big, strong dude. I believe that guy keeps growing, and I don't know where Adesanya is at this stage, If he can still conquer his demons in his head, and if he can look as pragmatic to his previous losses as he should, and he's not emotionally involved, yeah, maybe he has a chance. But I believe that Perez is the stronger guy, the bigger guy, the very confident, and he has the knockout power,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I'm rooting a little bit more towards him, although it could go either way, But I believe that Alex Pereira has his number.
Yeah, it's difficult because I watched the fight back because the fight's coming up. And then I noticed that he was dominating the fight. He was very technical. He was really, really good that fight.
Yeah.
And then Pereira came in, gone. Yeah.
By the way, Pereira's been training with Yusri a lot. Yusri, the famous Dutch kickboxer. Yeah, he's there now. He's there with him in Vegas as well. He's been training the last couple of weeks with him. So there's some Dutch involvement there.
Nice. Well, that's always good to hear. Yeah, Per also is training with Shira, right?
Shira, yeah.
Well, he has quite a team.
Yeah.
Are you more of a technical fan or a culture fan? Like, I always look at the psychology and how he's behaving in press conferences, or are you really looking at the fighter, ground game? I mean, you're a coach, so are you really a fan or a fan of the sport?
You can't separate it. So I'm not so emotional in that sense. That, for example, we were talking about Conor McGregor before. I hate how he's behaving, but he's a good fighter. Well, his behavior sometimes affects his style, his technical ability, or his way. If he would have been more focused and more hungry like he was in the beginning, he would have been even on a higher level than he is today. But I can. For me, there's no emotions attached. Like I can understand somebody who, like for example, the other fight against Islam versus Volkanovski.
Yeah,
I like Volkanovski better as a person and as a fighter, but Islam is a very technical, good fighter. You cannot. That's something you have to recognize. Yeah, and so for me, either way,
maybe that fight technically, Islam obviously won, but culturally, I would have thought, come on.
How somebody said it really nice. Makhachev won the match, but Volkanovski won the fight or something,
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was like, and he won the hearts of the people. Sometimes you have that.
Yeah, definitely.
You fight a really good fight, you lose, but you win the hearts of the people. And that's also something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, to me, for me, at this moment, he's my number one fighter at this moment. So you have gyms, you have a great legacy, you have businesses, you have a good mindset. What does the future hold for me?
I'm pushing myself to improve every day, whether it is in different areas. I'm looking at some real estate right now as well. That's something I really like. I'm looking at the small things, like I'm improving in my games. I'm improving in my Spanish lessons in Duolingo. I'm improving the fighters, the Marchin Prachnio. I want to really push him to the next level. He's been so loyal. He's been working so hard, sacrificed so much. Now he's really he embodies martial arts, embodies Budo. I really want him to succeed and in his dreams. That's something I really would like. Fitar, I want to push it to the next level. I'm a very busy man, but I'm Fitar, this company of mine, and some of my partners, shareholders. I'm not the only owner, but we have some shareholders there. But really want to push that company to the next level and create a great success out of that. That one side financially, other side, but the financial is the reward for the hard work and the proof of the company or of the product. Something we built out of nothing. So that's what I'm doing now. Yeah, I mean, I just want to get better every day. I just want to improve. I just want to grow. I just want to keep moving on and going hard, going strong. So in all areas that I'm moving in.
Sounds good. Like a true martial artist, what do you want to advise the next growing up?
I want to, like I mentioned, positivity, very, very strong point. I believe very, very, very much in positivity. Like I mentioned before, no positive results with a negative mindset. Stay positive. You have to, in order to succeed, in order to be successful, you have to do a lot of stuff, but also you have to sacrifice a lot of stuff. That means that's sometimes even harder. So when everybody was going out back in the days when I was fighting, I was at home, when everybody was drinking alcohol and having fun with their friends and everyone was partying. Sometimes I went to the club, but I was drinking water, You have to sacrifice a lot to be successful, and you have to have dedication, have to have discipline, have to have respect, I believe that this is a continuous journey. I believe that this is something people should focus on, and not the fast, quick, materialistic things. That's not important. Just focus on improving. Don't see your journey as a sprint, see it as a marathon. Do things that are right for you in the long term, not in the short term, and make wise decisions. It's not bad if you do things wrong or if you fail in one point of time, but make sure you learn from it and become better. So just keep growing, keep evolving.
I think that's a beautiful message. To wrap it up, where can people find you and your company and your product?
So of course I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. I'm in Instagram, Martijn at Martijn_DEJ. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find everything there. Fit. We have a website, fitar.smartbox.fitar.eu. Fitar.eu. Same thing. Tatsujin MMA.com. We have Instagram. We have websites. You can find us anywhere on the internet. Just type in my name in Google and you probably catch me somewhere. And by the way, if anybody has a question or wants to engage or you want to know more, just hit me up on Instagram or wherever, DM me, and I'm happy to write you back and help you with anything, if you need any help at all.
Sounds great, Martijn. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, sharing your time. It was an honor to share the stage with a mixed martial arts legend, and I hope to see you in the future.
The pleasure was all mine. Hope to see you soon as well.
Thank you.